Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about how you build Lyra as a support. Now I know many global players, especially healer players, worry about if support is still viable or even needed, and the answer is definitely yes, especially for a group of free-to-play or low-spender players. Now the endgame content like 8-player raid, and also there is a hard mode Void Rift in C, and these endgame mode, you really do need some sustainability, and having a support Lyra is gonna greatly improve your whole team survivability, so that's really helpful. Now, Lyra as a support has a few advantages. Uh, First of all, she has a very broken passive. Basically turns all your overheal into shield. Now by overheal I mean, so if you use a healing skill when you have full HP, that overheal is gonna get turned into a shield. As you can see right now I do have full HP. Now I swap to Nemesis and use my uh, weapon skill to heal, and you do see that yellow bar, that's the overheal that gets turned into a shield. That's one thing. Another thing, this passive also gives you your whole team additional 12.5% maximum HP, so it just straight up makes your whole team more tankier. Uh, Also, Lyra has one of the most broken Simulacra trait. What it does is it provides you your whole team actually hyper armor. Now this is very critical because oftentimes, especially in endgame content, uh, uh, many times you can die from getting comboed by boss, and the reason are getting combo is because you're either getting knockoff or getting CC, right? So having this hyper armor is really gonna increase your survivability, and also uh, in addition to Lyra's passive, this Simulacra trait also gives another 12.5% maximum HP to your team and another 12.5% maximum HP to yourself, right? So you can see these icon here, right? So with all that add up, you will grant yourself additional 37.5% maximum HP and your whole team additional 25% maximum HP. So you're just getting way more tankier. Or sorry, way more tanky. Uh, Now I do want to mention, in order to play Lyra as a support, you do need to at least have 2 healer weapon equipped. So you do need to trigger the healing resonance. If you trigger any other resonance, her passive and skill set will get changed. So if that's the case, you will be playing her as a DPS. And by the way, she is also very extremely good as a DPS, and that's also one of the great advantage for your support player is by pulling her, you're good for two roles, right? Both DPS and support. Um, Now, as for the weapon setup, uh, her passive does not require you to actively use her, right? She just needs to be in your weapon lineup. So you could use any other weapon. Now, the reason you don't really want to use her that much is because her own healing is somewhat limited. It's more of her passive that makes her valuable. If you do want to heal with Lyra, one way to do that is, right, you gotta punch people, right? Every time you punch, you will heal, but you know this is somewhat risky because as a healer, you really don't want to risk yourself dying, right? And it is better if you can just stay behind. So I personally don't recommend you doing this, but you could if you want. Uh, Another thing is her weapon skill. If you put down 2 pillars, you can see this green orb bouncing, right? So this green orb is also able to heal. So a good way to use Lyra is you just, I mean, use this weapon specifically is just to put down the pillar and then you just swap to another weapon that has better healing. In this case, I'm actually using Nemesis plus Pepper. The reason is this way I can trigger the Volt Resonance, right? Because by triggering Volt Resonance, you get more Volt attack, which just translates to more healing. I'm also using, sorry, I actually wants to use the Volt gear, right? So that way I have maximum Volt attack for the maximum healing uh, possible. Excuse me. Yeah, so you just you can run any sort of support weapon. I mean, Coco, uh, for example, Coco will work just fine, right? Together with Zero. Now with Zero, uh, especially if you have him at 5 star, he can even drop these damage boosting orb, right? So if your teammates pick up the orb, uh, uh, they will get increased attack, right? So that is very very helpful. And his chip is also uh, so Zero's chip. Uh, every time you use a discharge to swap to this weapon, you grants additional shield, and also when you're protected by a shield, you and your teammates do more damage, so it's always good. Uh, yeah, so you could use any weapon you like, any support weapon you like, as long as you trigger the support resonance. Um, I like to use Nemesis because Nemesis, uh, first of all, it's a range weapon. Second of all, not only can you provide heal, you can also, because Nemesis right click shoot out this the bubble, right? If you uh, if you land the hit, it's gonna slow down it's gonna CC and slow down the boss, so that further increase your survivability, right? Uh, and as for the chipset, honestly, it doesn't matter what chip you use for Lyra, because all you do with her is, at least for me, all I do with her when I play her as a support is, like I said, I place on the two pillars, and then I switch off to other weapon. So you could just use any chips on her. I mean, use the best chip with the best stats on her to try to boost your stats a little bit. And then you can use, like, for example, I'm equipping the four-piece Coco set on my Pepper, right? Uh, that way I can, I believe her chipset gives you more healing and also boosts your attack, right? And then you can probably put Zero's chipset here if you want. Now I have Nemesis chip equipped, but uh, I mean, I'm just a little bit too lazy to swap around. Yeah, that's about it. And then also I want to talk a little bit about her constellation. Now, uh, if you can afford her constellation, her 3 star is anytime you use a weapon, it gives you additional 15% damage boost, right? And then it only works when you trigger support resonance. Otherwise, it will just make uh, your guardians do more damage, which is not relevant here when you play a support. The 20% is more for the damage. Now her constellation fight, and then I get this constellation because this constellation is just so broken, because it grants everyone like one chance of cheat death. So when you receive a fatal damage, rather you would uh, rather than dying, you will recover 15% of your maximum HP. So it's really really helpful, really really helpful. Now if you play her as a DPS, you will rather have two chances rather than one chance. So I mean, she's just she's just very very good. Now a good consolation to stop is her 1 star, because this 1 star is basically when you use a skill, uh, it's like a burst. So if you have uh, 6 guardians, you will do 6%. Sorry, you will have like a 600% multiplier, right? Every time you use a user skill or discharge. So like without this constellation, her DPS is somewhat lacking. So as a free-to-play or low spender, I think her 1-star is a good place to stop. That way you pretty much unlock all her DPS potential, and then you can also play her as a support, right? Yeah, that's about it. And then for the relics, uh, I'm currently so one thing is the space rift, especially you have it at 3-star. Actually, you do need the space rift at 3-star. That way, the enemies within that area will take 20% more damage, right? So as a support, it's always a good thing to have because your role is to make your team do more damage. Uh, other relic you can use is the shield, but you do need to have the shield at 5-star. That way, any person who, including your teammates and yourself, who go through the shield will get 25% more damage. So that's always good. But if you don't have that, another good option is alternate destiny, because this just adds another layer, right? Uh, uh, it's like you're like unkillable uh, uh, during this relic activated time, right? Like for 8 seconds, you become unkillable. So it just adds another layer of that safety. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. I think Lyra is a very good option for not only support players, but she herself is also a very viable DPS. Um, yeah, thank you for watching the video. Bye bye.